Hello, April. It's such a pleasure spending today with you. Welcome. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So, two of the people that are amazing enough to watch this video and meet this beautiful woman, she is in a closet right now because she teaches at a school for the deaf, deaf. Um, and we are making this work. And she is a mother of 9 children, but at one time was a homeless mother of 5, leaving an abusive relationship. And so I'm going to let April introduce herself because she's also going to do it in sign to share with that community. So please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone how amazing you are.
All right, so my name is April Tribe. That's my maiden name, moved to my middle name, Giauque. So it's pronounced Juke like a jukebox, right? So I am an empowerment speaker who is a published author now, and what I call a light or an illumination coach, because I direct people to discover what their self-worth is, their light within them, so that they can then illuminate. And I like to teach them how to fuel it themselves and then amplify it to the whole world so that they can become a beacon of light. And I want you to always remember this, that darkness disorients, but light illuminates. That's kind of the catchphrase that we can work with today.
I love it. That's beautiful. And today we are doing this to get the message out about your new book, Pinpoint of Light. And you are on a mission to share this 10 for 10,000. Would you like to share what that is?
Right. Okay. So this campaign is for the next 30 days and it's 10 for 10,000. And what that means is that we all know at least 10 people, right? And in that 10 people kind of contact, knowledge, could be friends, could be coworkers, whomever, if we share one book with 10 people, then those 10 can share it with 10 more and 10 more and so on and so forth. So then we get to have our 10 for 10,000 really quick. And the point about having 10,000 cells on the book is it kind of moves up into a different level. Some things that are kind of exciting that are happening, I'm sure you'll probably ask some questions later, but through the whole campaign, the 10 for 10,000 really emphasize that point of opening up a conversation and having a conversation, not just about domestic violence, but about how in our lives when we are making choices to get married, to date people, to do whatever, why do we choose that way? And why do we, no great word other than I have to spell this out, settle? Why do we settle for things? What's happening? What's going on? So that for this 10 for 10,000 is something that we really want to emphasize and continue on so that many people can get it and get it in their hands. And just this morning, I received a fantastic email. I sent out a blog post yesterday and I asked, hey, if anyone wants to see this interview that I had, email me back. I had one response that was fantastic, and she had just helped somebody who had been in an abusive marriage for 30 years to move out over the weekend. And she shared that impact and story with me, and I can't wait to post that a little bit later on today. And she said, when we were moving her, what was on her nightstand? Your book, Pinpoints of Light. So she had gotten it from a recommendation from a friend. She'd gotten it from Amazon, and there she goes. So my friend said, hey, I know her. We can get you a signed copy for that. So I'm going to sign like a little book template and send that off to her so she can put that inside the book. And yeah, really impactful. Just, you never know who your story or what your story is going to impact, who and how they're going to change their lives. So it was awesome. It was awesome.
That sent chills through my body because it's so amazing. So let's just kind of start at the beginning now that people know what our purpose is. Why did you write this book?
Okay, great question. Why I wrote the book is I felt first nudged and then prompted and then like, you got to share this story. It was a 12-year kind of journey after I had left domestic violence to really pull in all of my journals, put them together, and find out which direction I wanted this book to go. What was the message? I mean, there's story after story after story, right? So sometimes in the writing of stories, we can say, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, which will probably kill off your reader because they're like, oh, it's too much. So I wanted to really focus in on the book to show the story of how we spiraled down into the abyss, but then through a pinpoint of light, looked at it, focused, and then rose out to give people hope, to give people an opportunity to know that whatever the situation is, there has to be an exit plan. There has to be a network built up of friendships, coworkers, family members, something like that, what I call ultimate supporters, because in order for you to get out and stay out, that network, if it's established, your success just goes up 100-fold. So in the writing, I wanted just to share the story. A lot of editors, bless their heart, it's so great, but they really wanted to share more of like how I overcame all of this stuff. And I'm like, hang on, hold. That's actually the second book. This first one is the story. You have to understand the impact of the story. And then it will lead you curiously like to the next book of, so how did you heal? What happened? Those pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, every book is structured differently. And that's how I structured this, so that you can fall into the story, understand, relate, connect, which is what's happening with many of the people and my readers. Most of the reviews that I get back are, I couldn't put it down. I had to, wow, just all these things because of how the story draws you in. Yeah, I really wish that it was not that way, but in the sense of all the things that happen, people are like, oh my land, wow. And there's a few big curveballs that happen and people are like, no way. I'm like, yeah, wild, right? Wild. So the writing of the book was to share the story, to connect with people so that they could have some hope and a pinpoint of light for them to possibly escape.
I love that. It's so beautiful. So why do you feel it's so important to get this story out to millions of people?
2 reasons. The first is to open up, I shared this earlier, to open up a conversation, a real conversation. The second is that through those conversations, society and all of our communities can support a change. For many years, we've just kind of watched this deterioration happen. And through the deterioration, we're thinking, oh, I guess that's just something we have to keep accepting. Yeah, life is so much worse now than it was back in the good old days. I guess that's just how it is. And I'm standing up and saying, no, it's not. We don't have to accept that. We can actually change the society. So, for example, let's say that as we're going through difficult trials, things like that, we have to know where did we start first to accept this, and how can we make the change after? Do we have to go through such impacting things in order for us to go, oh my gosh, I'm actually worth something, I have worth, I have light? Mm-hmm. Then to go, whoa, no, we want to have that light and worth starting when they're children. This is really a war on children, right? As children, as we grow up and experience things, if we don't have strong parents, family structures and support, we're going to look at it through possibly school, through work, through friends, to try and find something to connect. If we still can't find anything positive there, we will go with whomever accepts us. And in that accepting, we start to, what I call, settle down into things. Mm-hmm. Versus we forget that we are actually born with light within us, and we start to accept the dimming of that light. So that very first reason to open up a conversation about abuse, domestic violence, about all these things that are impacting. And some of these statistics they're hard to understand, but 1 in 4 women are abused in the United States. It's 1 in 3 worldwide. Wow. 87,000 women die in abuse, which is the most preventable way of death in the world. 87,000 every year. It's not like they got a disease or cancer. This is a 100% preventable death, and 87,000 women are killed each year. The most dangerous place for a woman is in her own home. 80% of the assaults happen there. Sexual assaults, impacting any kind of physical violence, and the emotional abuse that happens is within their own home. And I mean, the statistics go on and on and on. There's almost $10 billion that we spend every year on the violence, on the domestic assaults, for the sexual assaults. Those are hospital stays, they're lost days of work, they're going to courts, they're all of that. But something that's really interesting that opens up the conversation is that every single mass shooting that has happened in the United States has one common denominator, and that is domestic violence. So whether they were raised in it, have an exposure of it, or they themselves are a perpetrator of it, that's the common denominator. That is wild. So many people start going into all these different political aspects, which we won't get into, but really, if these are these problems, don't we want to look back and find out, hey, if a lot of these are boys growing up to it, what's happening? What were they exposed to? What were they impacted? Were they themselves in abuse? Was there a traumatic event that happened in their lives? What's going on? I share a lot of that in the first part of my book to kind of build the background story of my ex-husband. I wanted to allow people to understand that it wasn't this hidden monster. It was pain, things he'd suffered through, never allowed, permitted to share, to say, because of shame and so on and so forth. And I think it gives an opening of a conversation to talk about what's happening with our boys, what is impacting them, and the sexualization that's rampant, that usually will show itself in some type of aggression. It's just fascinating, all the research. So I'm gathering more and more of that, but we'll stop there.
Well, no, let's keep going. How are you going to do all of this and get this word out? I mean, you have such a great message and you have this book. So how are you going to do all that?
So how, obviously, we've got the book through speaking, through lectures, through contacting, through any kind of conferences, yes. But even something kind of bigger is that we want to take it to the main stage, to the movies, to really get that impactful moment. And it's not just, it's going to be a show about all these things that happen this way. It's going to show and develop, opening an opportunity for the conversation to really flow, to say what is happening here in our society, that this is now being accepted, so many more are happening. I think sometimes we look at it like, yeah, it's happening. It's happening. We're like, where do we stop? Where's the intervention? What's going to happen from there? And that's what we want the movie to open that up, to really have clear, concise understanding of what pain, if it's not healed and resolved from, what can happen on the other end. And same for both sides, for both women and men. It's, it's across the board.
Yeah, that's a powerful message. And so tell me, do you feel that this is really possible to get this up there? What's blocking your path, and how are you going to push past that as far as getting this into the movies and getting this? Because this is really powerful.
This is powerful. Okay, so the very first block, myself, believing that, hey, it can happen. I was impacted January 17th, 2019. I was in a meeting called the Fire Ring, and it was at the end of that. I knew, right, Bella? I knew that this had to be a movie. So I asked a question, and the response back was, well, how many books have you sold? Who knows about it? And they were good, factual, concrete questions back. But I allowed what I call my shame shadow to start talking to me, to say, yeah, how many books have you sold? Yeah, what really is your purpose? All of that. And I was like, oh, I guess. I mean, hook, line, and sinker, I swallowed it all again. And then I started to rise up, but it wasn't until May that I thought, wait a minute, I had this impression directly from God that I needed to do this. And the very next second, the shame shadow shows up. Oh, wait, I see the pattern here. You were given light and instantly, like a candle, blow it out. I'm like, no more. Why did I do that for 4 months? I kind of, oh, well, I haven't sold enough. I guess not. Nope. So I went bold and brave and started really getting more sales out there, more campaigning out there. And then I thought, contact a screenwriter. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Sent it off. She's like, this is going to be powerful. I'm really interested in the project. And so now it's in the hands of a screenwriter. So I'm that much. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
I'm like, it wasn't there in the first place, and it wouldn't have been there. I can't wish it there. I have to take the action to get it there. And now things are starting to roll. What are the next steps? I don't know, but I'm going to learn real fast. But I'm not going to let the doubt or the unbelief stop me anymore. Because it's not happening now. Well, I mean, now it is. But it wasn't happening then when I first got the impression. But now I'm like, it doesn't matter how many rocks or boulders, the trials that are going to be stepped in the way. That doesn't mean, oh, I guess I need to stop. One of our friends, David Branderhorst, he says, you're usually 6 inches away from gold. And that's the mantra for this year, to not stop, to keep going, to keep fighting through. And it's not in a forceful way, but it's in a way that we will always have these problems. We will always have trials. Something will always come up. We will always be too busy. Blah, 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 blah. Just do it anyway. So that was my big, yep.
That's beautiful. You turned your shame shadow into bold and brave, which is a powerful transformation. Those words were very powerful. I love it. And I love that 6 inches away from gold. You have some powerful allies. You also gave a book recently to Skip Pritchard at our conference, and he has the global nonprofit computer library service and resource organization. So tell me about that experience and why you gave that to him and what that's opening up for you.
All right. Well, it was another God thing where we were watching him give a great speech right before the Author Academy Awards. And while he was speaking, I had the direct understanding and impression I need to sign this book and get the book in his hands. Of course, right? Shame, he never leaves. I will clarify something. Shame shadow, anytime you have light, there's going to be a shadow casted behind you. Every time. It's our choice to look at the shadow or look at the light. So
interesting that you say that while the sun is coming into my window right now. I'm like, because I'm trying to get out of the shadow so you can see me. But it's fascinating that you're describing that as it's like coming in, fighting with me. So sorry, keep talking because this is beautiful.
So I had that impression. I signed it. He was still speaking. I knew the awards were going to be happening next. It was going to take a time to get it to his hands. I knew he was going to be running off to do his own book signing. I'm like, there it is. Well, anyone else who's been a mother of 9 before, or at least has had a baby before, there's an experience that happens with your bladder. I'll just say that. Now, I'm not pregnant, but I felt like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom, like now. But everything was still going on. I just ran out, but I ran out with the book in my hand. Wasn't even thinking. Used the restroom, and I still had the book in my hand, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, I've got to get back in there. I run out. And literally ran like smack into Skip Pritchard. And I'm in the stumbling words of, oh, I'm so sorry. I need to give you my book. Like, it was so lame. It was so silly, the approach. But he said, oh, thank you very much. And off he ran to go do his book signing. I thought, I followed through. I finished. We're good. It was a Friday. Sunday afternoon, he came back to the conference looking for me. He said, I finished reading your book this morning.
Wow.
I put it down. He says, can I meet your husband? Is this Scott? And I'm like, so he meets Scott. He says, you're absolutely real. Okay, this is great. And you'll understand that comment if you read my book of why he would say that. And everyone at the table were like, get a video. So he was so gracious to do a quick interview and review on my book right there, which was very powerful. Following that, he said, I wanted to let you know something. I know your ex-husband. Now that put me on the edge for a second. I was like, huh, excuse me? He says, all right, let me clarify. I haven't actually met him, but I know his persona. Because in my family, if you remember, 2 days ago, I shared with you, I'm one of 6. And my parents had that mission to help anyone that was, our home kind of became that halfway house for drug addicts, for alcoholics, for anyone with mental illness. So I understand the persona of your ex-husband because he was actually my roommate. And I'm like, you get it. He says, that's why I couldn't put it down. My experience is connected with yours. Now, we never worked through domestic violence or had any of that kind of thing, but I could understand where he was along his pathway, and I could know how things were really going to happen. And so I couldn't put it down. And then I handed it to my wife, and I said, you have to read this book. And I'm just sitting there in a glow and in just awe that somebody of his opportunity, busyness, everything. I mean, he's going off to Ireland, just done a book signing, so busy. He didn't need to take the time to do that, but he did talk about a character, talk about somebody with so much, I just respect him so much. And he has such influence and impact. It was amazing. It was such an honor. It was such an honor. I did not expect that. When he said that it read cinematically, as a writer, because that was the goal, is for you to see the story. And I kept getting interrupted by the editor saying, you need to explain how you felt, what happened, what was the healing. I'm like, yes. But book two. Give me a minute. Yeah, it was so validating. And to have my husband stand there, hear, and listen to everything. Because he was my audio director for my audiobook. So he's heard the book 2 or 3 times. So he knows it. And that impacted for him was, it was just amazing all around.
It definitely sounds like that bathroom visit was divine intervention and your higher power and God saying, come on, let's go. It's beautiful. So after all of that, do you feel this is going to become a movie?
Yes, it will. And I know who's going to direct it. I'm saying it out loud, Ron Howard, because he directed A Beautiful Mind. And you will see in the book, in chapter, I think it's 16 or 17, don't quote me on that, but in the book you will see a chapter about A Beautiful Mind and the impact that happened in my life and the awareness that I was suddenly drawn into. Because prior to all of that, I don't want to give any spoilers, I figured they were just trials in marriage. But that point was a shift, complete shift. So I'll leave it at that, but the 20th anniversary of that movie happens in 2021. So it's going to happen.
Is that the importance of that, or is there more significance around it?
That's the big piece of the significance.
Okay.
He understands how to share a story like that, to show someone's mental illness visually. How do you show someone's mind and what's happening in that mind visually? And how he directed that and produced that understanding for all of us to know that feeling. I'm like, he's the one that could do that. Now, there might be others, but that's what I'm going for right now. And, speak it and see what happens. Because it
Abracadabra.
Right? Abracadabra. Right.
Thank you, Carrie. But yeah, abracadabra. Say it and it happens. I love that.
Yeah.
I am so excited to watch the movie because I see it happening too, and I'm fully in support of that.
Support it, yeah.
So, yes, this has been so amazing. You have so much to offer. So, any last words that you have to offer, and then we'll tell people where they get how they can join your cause and share.
I think the last thing I want to share is that to never quit. You are all born with a light within you. If you listen, if you follow those nudges, you'll be directed on the path that is absolutely right for your growth, and right for the other people around you who you served. Now, if we back up a little bit, in my kind of who we are and our statements about being an empowerment speaker, a published author, an illumination coach, discovering our light, our worth, illuminating it, fueling it, and amplifying it, that piece of amplification is service. When we are serving our fellow man, when we are serving each other, that takes the focus off self, and shifts it outwardly. When we are shifted outwardly, we then can be a vessel, be a way, be a director, however anyone thinks and imagines this, spreading good karma, whatever it is. That point is that we're all seeking within ourselves a way, a door, a window to open, the way to be shown, and through people that are listening to those nudges, those doors open, those connections can happen. The amplification is that service. If we throw our lives in service for other people, the world opens up because we are blessed. We're not seeking for just ourselves. We are seeking for others. And that is the key. That is the key for any type of society to have success and to continue onward. So that would be my last point of advice.
And I second that advice because it is so powerful to not give up. Thank you. I'm so excited to see where this goes and the impact that you are going to make on the world, because this is huge and it's something that definitely needs some attention to open up those doors. So thank you. So where can people find you if you want? We'll put, there will be links to her websites and stuff, but go ahead and tell them too, please.
Okay. So the 10 for 10,000 campaign is sign up on my website, www.apriltribegiauque.com. And you can also find the book on Amazon. You can find it through my Facebook pages of Beacon of Light, or Beacon of Light supporters, advocates, and victims, my own profile, anything like that. I do have opportunities for, because there's some women that are still within the abuse and they financially are really strapped. So I give an opportunity for a free book through that. Also a free audiobook. There's different ways to be able to get and understand the content in the book, and that's what I want. I want offers there. We also have a reduced price on the Kindle on Amazon for you. And again, Pinpoints of Light, Escaping the Abyss of Abuse. That's the title of the book. And again, on the website and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's great.
And to anyone out there watching this, it's information. Beacon of Light, her website has a ton of information. I just encourage you to look at the website. And if you want to support her and donate to the cause, then contact her too.
Great.
Because there's a lot of people out there who have been, I understand this world. There's a lot of people that have been out there that understand this world. And if you want to support her and contribute to the nonprofit, contribute to helping save people and help them cross over, please contact her and go to Beacon of Light and really see how you can help with this cause.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Thank you so much, Willow. Thank you. I
mean,
Thank
you.
Your voice and impact is so fantastic, and I so appreciate your support as well. So thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing a bit of your story with me, because it is linked. I mean, really, if you look at the numbers of 1 in 4, that's 25%. And so what I call ourselves are an unfortunate, fortunate sisterhood. Yeah, we got each other's back. So let's do this thing and share it out there. Get that light out there. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, April. And again, all of the links will be attached to this post, either below or above. And we thank you all for your support for watching this. And thank you again, April. And have a great afternoon, everyone.
All right. Thank you.